So we have an agenda that was sent out. I guess the first order of business is to approve the minutes from June 22nd, 2022. Motion to approve the minutes? Anybody? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That passes. So we have a special presentation tonight from the Simsbury Historical Society. I met with them about 3 weeks ago. Maria asked me to meet with them, and I had a tour of the site in central part of Simsbury, downtown Simsbury. I hadn't done it before. I'm sure you all have done it, but I found it fascinating, interesting, and really informative about the history of Simsbury and some very interesting buildings. Guess you have like 10 acres of land there, I think, Bob?
Yes, we do. 10 acres and about 10 buildings.
Yeah. So I mentioned to them at that point that maybe they'd like to make a presentation to the Economic Development Commission. And they said yes. So Bob's here. Bob, you here alone?
I am. A couple of the board members are vacationing, and one member came with the last minute of COVID. So I am alone.
So why don't you go ahead with your presentation?
Sure, I'd like to. Thank you. You really have a gem in the middle of town. We occupy 2 acres, and I don't think there are many businesses on Hot Meadow that can make a claim to 10 buildings on 2 acres, a prime piece of real estate. So our business really is the business of tourism. We act as a catalyst, if you will, to restaurants in the area. A lot of folks are touring from out of town, and they go through our buildings and say, gee, where's a good place for lunch? Or where would you recommend shopping? Where's the closest mall? We, by far, are the largest historical site in the Farmington Valley of the 9 societies that I belong to in our group. But it's a real gem. The society is staffed by 1 part-time person. We're open from Thursday noon to 4, Friday the same hours, and on Saturday we like to give tours. So it's a little frustrating in that we can't have our buildings open most of the time, essentially during the summer when our visiting population is the greatest. We've had some really good years, success with the ARPA money that's available through COVID distribution. We've been very successful with our grant writing. We could, if there's a wish list that will pop out of our conversation tonight, it would be assistance with our grant writing. We do not have an executive director, so we go through Clio and other associations to find out what is out there and throw the net out. And we've been very, very fortunate with the 4 most recent grants that we have. We have received a $3,000 grant for upgrading our Ensign Bickford exhibit. Ensign Bickford has been a big benefactor over the years and been very gracious in building our Ellsworth Visitor Center along with the family of Ellsworth. But it's now in time for an upgrade. So we have 2 professionals. We received a grant. We were 16, I believe, societies out of 67 received this grant. We have 2 professionals coming in tomorrow for their 3rd visit to make suggestions. But as you know, in any museum, the key thing is to upgrade your exhibits. When people come through maybe 4 or 5 years and come back again and see the same things, their enthusiasm level kind of drops. So we constantly have to look at that and be responsive to the customers that we service, people from out of town and also local. One thing that we've done recently was reenact the colonial days. For 4 different days, we had the 7 grades of 5th graders come through our facility. We had 6 stations they would learn what they would do in the wigwam. They'd go through the barn, they'd go through the Phillips house. They'd learn what colonial dress was like. They'd learn how hard it was to make a living in those days. They'd play games. So it was kind of neat. Terry Hinault, a retired teacher out of Terriffill, coordinated the program through the school system, which has been done over the years many, many times. In fact, we have visitors that come back that are adults and remember their experiences as 5th graders going through the facility. So it's those types of programs that we'd like to pass on to the community. It's not a big expense, but we reached over 225 students in the 5th grade. History is not an important subject at that level. So we kind of reinvented their interest by having Terry go pre-visit to our location and beef up what they were going to see. That was kind of neat. Any questions so far? Any interest? Okay. Most of our sources of revenue come from random donations, an annual appeal, membership fees, and of course our programs and events. We have a budget of roughly $100,000, and if we break even, it's a good year. We're really not in it to make a lot of money. We had successful programs this year that, again, the Colonial Day was big. In September, we have a big thing. It's called Make Your Own Scarecrow. I don't know if you have youngsters that have gone through that, but it's a revenue enhancer, and it's a great opportunity for young families to see our property. We got some ARPA funds to this summer to have 6 consecutive Fridays geared toward young adults, young people, to do some activities every Friday. Again, it's the emphasis to, as our population ages, as our membership ages, and as our donor age accelerates more rapidly than we would like, we rely more on the young adults. So we have to be attuned to addressing that level to ensure that we have a fiduciary responsibility to Simsbury to see that our buildings, our 10 beautiful structures, are here for generations. And it's not an easy thing. Tom has been very helpful in the last couple of months to help us educate to some degree as to what might be required to do a capital campaign. And we're working hard to do that, realizing that you really have to hire a professional if you're getting into soliciting the community to see if, number one, there's interest and support in supporting us for a capital campaign. So we'll be doing that in the future. Some of the challenges that we have, and I'm glad I'm speaking to the group here, is we could use some IT support. We had a person, Mark Orenstein, who also works with the town, and I'm sure you're well aware of his talents. It's kind of fading in the availability racket, if you will, and we could use some IT support as well as some help with grant writing. It's a very important stream, and we just do not know what's out there. We solicit the various associations that we belong to, but I'm sure we're missing something. And it's just a matter of, the data is repetitive if you get to do several of these grants. But again, it's relying on what is out there. And we'd like to know, the board would, if the town could support us in some way with grant writing and the IT area. One of the things that when I solicited the board about what I should talk about tonight, and one thing that popped out is they want me to ask, how does the commission view the society as an entity that could help enhance the economic development of Simsbury? What is your view of how while we are viewed in the community? The nature of the programs, if you've lived in the community for a number of years, what is your wish list that you would like us to be aware of? Does anything come to mind? It would be very helpful.
I don't know, Maria, Ron, anybody?
Actually, so for me, I'm a big fan of the Historical Commission myself. I have a couple of the academic works that the Historical Society has published over the years on my shelf, and it's really actually helped me get to know my town and my house, which is one of the old ones. And, just the history in this town is so rich and there's so much of it. So for me, the Historical Society you're literally our record keeper. You're, recording what was, but also what is, and preserving that knowledge for future generations. So for me,
we have our part-time person, Caroline, is Barbara Strong. And although she's part-time, she's really full-time. She gets a lot of requests from people out of state. My last name is Eno. I'm coming up from Florida. Could you do a little research? I'd really like to know about my family. And she's very, very flexible to that extent. How do you feel about our locations or our buildings not being open as frequently as perhaps you may like or our visitors may like? Essentially, we're open from Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from noon until 4. During the school year, perhaps that's okay, but in the summer, when the visitors come from out of state, or there's a need for more programs, do you think there's an interest there for an expanded amount of hours?
Bob, how many people, did you mention how many people go through the tour in a year? Do you keep track of that?
Yes, we do. And again, it varies. The summer, the spike from June to about September, we have over 400 people that go through there on various times. And that may be through tours. That may be just be a one-off. I'm walking through the area. I'm on my way to the dog park. Can you show me a couple of these buildings? So we ask everyone who goes in our visitor center to sign in. And we have roughly around 400 people during the summertime. Now that can spike. Every once in a while there's a busload that will appear, or there'll be a reunion in town where there'll be a large group that will go through. So Monday traffic is a little thin, as is Tuesday, we found out. The big surge is the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We are not open on Sunday, although I've been there many times on Sunday and there's been some traffic, not to exceed perhaps 10 to 15 people. So it's a difficult thing to really judge. We would have, if we had to have all the buildings open, it would have to be staffed by a volunteer. And there are not that many people that would be willing to sit there for, the 5 or 6 hours, 4 or 5 times a day, or 4 or 5 times a week. So it's a concern of ours, only because, we're there to serve you. We're there to make history available to anybody who casually comes or by appointment. And we don't want it to seem like, oh, well, don't bother going over there, they're closed. Or, they have nothing to offer, don't bother.
What % of your visitors are from out of town?
About 20% during the entire year. I would say it spikes a little bit, Ron, during the summertime, obviously. But seasonally overview would be about 20%.
Are those mostly walk-ins, or are they by appointment, or?
It's a mix of all the above. We like reservations because we can prepare the buildings, we can open them up, we can get the staffing that's needed to do the tour properly. But it's, again, we'd like to be open all the time. We'd like to be open from 9 to 5 at the most. But again, what we're asking is that if maybe there's something that we're duplicating, that the town is duplicating in terms of advertising, perhaps either through the various websites, our website, the various community websites, that we're missing something. Maybe there's a specialist on your staffing that could help us out with the advertisement. Or is there a liaison person, Tom, on your committee that I could talk to on a regular basis to say, here's what we're doing, here's our schedule for the year. How can I help you? Or is there advertising or somebody that I can talk to again for IT support or publicity or learning what's new in the area of grants?
Bob, do you belong to the Chamber of Commerce?
We do. I don't attend the meetings. Nika Scully attends the meeting. She owns the Simsbury house and is a regular attendee there.
I think one of the things that the EDC could offer, and I think we have a lot of different levels of expertise on the commission. When Maria approached me to talk with you, I was able to hook you up with the Westminster School fundraising department, which is a group of professionals that I know you met with and were able to get some information from them on how to structure a fundraising campaign properly. And then I was also able to get you a chance to meet with a company that we worked with a lot when I was the CFO at Westminster, Bartlett, Brader, and Ecott, to see if they would do sort of an assessment of the buildings and what level of ongoing maintenance they need. I noticed when I walked through there, you had mentioned that's a cost to maintain those buildings, obviously, the outside, the roofing, the siding, and interior. And so I think other people on this commission have certain skill sets that may be useful to you in your.
Yes, to address that issue, we received a $20,000 grant through the Hartford Public Giving to do an assessment of 4 buildings last year. We hired an architectural firm and they came in and looked at the buildings, and over last summer spent the 4 months and submitted a report in October, which gave us an idea of what the cost would be to bring these 4 major buildings, Phelps, the barn, the meeting house, and the Hendricks Cottage, up to a good level. And it resulted in a punch list with a total of about $550,000 in expenses, which was the initial, I guess, input, if you will, to Tom's endeavor to hook us up with someone. Well, if you're going to ask for that amount of money, you really have to talk to people who have done it before, and thus the meetings with Westminster. So thanks again, Tom, for arranging that. So that'll be part of our 2023 to-do list, getting a capital campaign together. And if any of you know of people that have done that or run that, please think of me and pass their name on, because we're going through the interviewing process now. John Hampton has agreed to be, if you will, the face of the campaign, but we need a pro to in fact run it. So that's my spiel. Thank you very much. I'm just so proud of the Historical Society. Every board members, and there's 13 of us, just love the facility. They realize that we have a responsibility to future generations, and we're so happy to be able to get together on this colonial days to educate the 5th graders about how important Simsbury is, but how important of a role that we played, we being Simsbury residents, in the history of the area. So any support you can give us.
Yeah, Bob, any other questions or comments?
I have a comment for Bob. Actually, I was involved with the Colonial Day and was dressed in the meeting house when we reenacted when Simsbury decided to go to join the Revolutionary War. And it was just so wonderful to see how engaged the students were. And, it just is really great. I've been there twice as a chaperone with my 2 oldest, and to be able to participate in that way this time, it was just really wonderful to see the students and the children. And I think it's a great thing. So I think you guys are doing really great work.
It is. Thank you, Heather. And they run a script and the kids get dressed up in the meeting house, and it's one of the 6 stations that they get to see how easy those times were and how hard they were. at the same time so that they can compare and contrast life in the 1700s versus the 2000s. Thanks, Heather.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, Tom, I'll just jump in a little bit and thank you, Bob, for coming this evening. I just really thought that this particular group, the EDC, is such a wonderful group of people, and they have, many of them just have just an absolutely terrific skill set, whether it's in their current lives and maybe past, professional careers, particularly as you move forward with your capital needs and construction work, bidding work, fundraising work, that I just really felt that this group of folks in particular just have a lot of skills and knowledge and resources that they could perhaps be of assistance, even if it is just in an advisory capacity. And as Tom has done, connecting you to other people who could maybe help you accomplish the goals that you're trying to achieve, because your property is such a gem, right? It's a real treasure for our community, and so I don't know if moving forward, if it makes sense, maybe if Tom, you remain a point person, if there are other EDC members who maybe hearing this information tonight, it's sparked some interest and excitement for you, if you would be willing to perhaps offer some of your skills and time and knowledge as well. But again, just really wanted to try to make this opportunity to make a connection between your two groups, because I do see a lot of synergies, between the two groups, and just really want to thank you all for your time tonight. Sure,
thank you, Maria.
I'm wondering if anyone would want to be the liaison between this EDC and the Historical Society. I would certainly volunteer to do it if no one else feels strongly about it. And Bob, you could get back work through me if you have some issues, and I could work with you, and then bring them back to the EDC.
Great, super. Thank you.
If that makes sense, Maria or anybody else. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Well, thanks, Bob, for being on. We appreciate you coming and spending time with us. And
okay.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we go. Any comments about that?
Actually, that was really helpful. Just even thinking about that welcome letter, what do local businesses need? And nonprofits are businesses as well. And the things he was asking about are themes and topics we've hit on as well, especially that IT support angle, the advertising, how do we connect with other people? How do we connect with talent? Those are all issues that across the board people seem to be facing.
Absolutely, right. Okay, let's move on to the liaison updates. The Main Street Partnership, I guess Sarah can't be on the call tonight. So any comment on the Main Street Partnership from anybody, or just move on from that?
Well, wait, did everybody get the visit? The new creative? Did that get sent around to everyone?
Yes, I saw it, read it.
Yeah, so that's a good thing.
No, it's very informative, very, very useful, very well done.
Yeah, it took a lot of, well, it seems to take a long time, but it's finally done, and I think it'll really benefit many different entities in town. So I think that
how do people get to see it?
I do not know the answer to that. Maybe Maria knows. I mean, back when I was on tourism, when we had a tourism committee before it fell apart during COVID, and many people became too elderly to attend the meetings, we would have put it in town hall, and we would have put it at the inns, and we would have put it, places like Fitzgerald's and Historical Society, places like that. So I would hope that's what they're doing again, but I haven't talked to Sarah about it either.
Yeah, it's such a good question. I'm not sure what the exact rollout plan is. There was a small budget within the budget to do traditional print copies of that marketing piece. And I believe there was going to be electronic versions of that available as well. But in terms of a distribution strategy, I'm just not up to speed on that at this point in time.
Once they're printed, it's really not that hard to whoever, Sarah's out and about around town all the time. She could drop off, and not to volunteer her, but she's so out and about all the time to put some in the chamber office and town hall and inns and historical society, places like that.
I thought she was going to ask the gentleman who owns Fitzgerald's. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name.
Brian.
Didn't he have some sort of fancy printer, and she was going to see if she could actually have him print?
Oh, that's right. I don't know.
Then what the budget, because I guess the amount of copies that she was able to procure were not a crazy amount, and so she was going to ask him if perhaps she could use his fancy printer to have more, but I'm not sure where that landed. I don't think she ever said much more than that.
Good memory. I'd forgotten about that, but you're right now that you mention it.
Well, still doesn't answer the question where they're going to be, but we'll have to ask her next time we email with her.
Okay. The Chamber of Commerce, Bob sent out a notice that Morgan couldn't be on the call, but he mentioned a couple of things that she would have mentioned. The Celebrate the Valley, formerly Celebrate Granby, runs from September 22nd to the 24th at the Salmon Brook Park in Granby. Carnival, Business and Health Expo, Cocktail Garden, Restaurant Alley, Car Show, and Fireworks with participating restaurants. And then the Spooktacular Celebration, October 16th at the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center. Trick-or-treating tradition in the area. Youth performances, games for all ages. I haven't attended either one of these. Have someone attended those, and how were they?
Yeah, I attended the Spooktacular event twice, with my family and some, other families from town. And it's just been really an absolutely wonderful event, really well attended, really well planned. Everybody's having a lot of fun. It's great to see all the businesses that come out. It's just, and there have been so many stakeholders that have participated and helped with that event. So I really just highly encourage folks, to come on out for that. And I know in the past, the Chamber has also looked for volunteers, and I know Bob Crowther and I think some other members of the ABC in the past have also volunteered just to help out with that event, being sort of an extra set of hands. So we might get the call for volunteers. So if we do see that, we'll make sure to pass it along to the group.
I've been to the car show and to the airport. It's fun. I think there was another car show they had in Iron Ores Boulevard, so I enjoy those. Not sure what I can say about them, but
okay, good. Any other Chamber of Commerce comments or information to share? Okay, we move on to zoning. Any zoning report?
Let's see. Not too much going on. Ethel Walker had is going to put up a new 24,000 square foot dorm, so that's a good thing. Other than that, most of the other things are fairly small. There's still some discussion going on with getting COs for the apartments down Hot Meadow. Let's see what else. The cannabis and the ADU, I believe both of those have been passed now. Definitely the ADU. And the cannabis, I know they were pushing for just a limit of one store in the B3 zoning, which is pretty much exclusively down at Route 44. So they're trying to keep it down there, just one retail store in town. Other than that, nothing.
I was under the impression that the cannabis has not passed. I don't even think they've had the public hearing for it yet. And I know the moratorium runs out in November.
Yeah, that's why I know the ADU was definitely so. I think it was maybe just a review of their latest ordinance, or the I shouldn't say ordinance, it's a zoning regulation. But I think they have approved that to go on to the Board of Selectmen to have, I think they had to approve the wording for it, and then you're right, they're going to have a special meeting sometime before the Board of Selectmen meeting in September or October. But they're pretty much done with what they want to have, I believe, as far as what they're going to write in the zoning regulations for it.
Ron, is there any information coming out or in zoning about the project on Iron Horse, the large apartment complex? I've been tasked with following that project, but there's nothing going on there, and it's been sitting there for a long time now, and literally there's nothing happening. Do you know why?
No, I don't. That's Gerard, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a financing issue with that. I'm trying to think. I know it's been all approved from the planning and zoning aspect. I don't believe they've filed any building permits yet.
No, just curious.
Yeah.
There were, I believe, some delays in obtaining some permits at the state level because, again, it is near, wetlands and floodplain and that sort of thing. So I do believe that there were some delays at a point in time. Again, just with time it was taking for permit review. Beyond that, I'm not sure, what would be causing the delays.
It probably has to go in front of the Army Corps of Engineers because it's a significant amount of wetlands near the river there. That can easily add 6 months to the process if they get involved. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it's a nice site. It's been cleared, and it's a huge space it goes right back to the river. Very exciting project once it gets going, I guess. Yeah,
my only concern is going to be conflict with the music.
Yeah, you had mentioned that before, right?
But they seem to, I don't know, zoning didn't seem to have any issues with it, and I think they were being naive that just because the apartment developer said they were going to be good neighbors, it's really who's occupying them. They can, if they state that they're not meeting the noise requirements, I don't think they're going to have any ability to proceed beyond what the state will let them do. See what happens.
Yeah, put up a giant soundproof wall or something.
They'll play very softly.
Or maybe it'll just be music fans.
Yeah,
free concerts in your backyard.
Open your windows.
Dancing only, yeah.
Your balcony, right? Any other zoning issues?
Nope.
Design review? Anything on design review?
That's Bob, so.
Okay. Sustainability, I think that's Bob also, I think.
Yeah.
DEI Council is me. I missed their last meeting. I was out of town. I know they're still working on focusing on affordable housing issue, spending a lot of time on that. Very active committee. They're also doing survey work. They've done a lot of surveys already. They're trying to expand the number of responses they're getting to their surveys. But I think it's a very good council, and they have a lot of big projects to work on.
So I know this is kind of outside of it, but I was invited to a meeting with that. And Maria, I know you've been copied on it too. And it seems like it's been about 2 months, and we keep putting a doodle poll to come together for a date on it. I don't know. I'm not even sure what the meeting is about, or why it's so difficult to get everybody there. Do you have any insight on that, Maria?
Yeah, so there's 2 separate meetings that we've been having a hard time, I think, with summer vacation schedules. One was, I know that this group at your last meeting had expressed an interest in connecting with the chamber, and the chamber had an interest in while to, I think it was Carrie and Bob and Ron in the chamber to try to sort of brainstorm in terms of, could we do some sort of social media job forum to kind of connect, folks who are looking for jobs and people who are trying to post openings and that sort of thing. So we are still trying to work on that. Again, I'm very sorry. Sometimes it's very hard with summer schedules trying to connect folks. Separately, We did have some outreach from the housing group with the DEI council that Tom mentioned for myself and a couple of key folks on our planning staff and our planning commission chair. They are hoping with a grant that they had received from, I believe it was the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, they're going to be doing essentially a speaker and kind of education series around housing issues. And they did want to get together, again, as I mentioned, some of our staff members, as well as the planning commission chair, to really kind of see if we could, generate some ideas and brainstorm in terms of what topics might be, of most interest and most helpful. So we're working on setting that up as well.
Okay, well, I'll keep filling out the doodle poll, hopefully.
Thank you. As usually as we get a little bit closer to Labor Day, we find it starts to get easier to schedule again.
Okay.
I hope I wasn't holding up too much. I can only kind of go after work.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get off during the workday.
Developmental projects. Again, I was assigned to the Iron Horse project, and again, not much is going on, so we can skip past that. Any other liaison updates? It's going to be a quick meeting, I think, the way we're going here. Yeah. The fourth item Bob had was EDC 2021-2022 work plan discussion and assignments. Not sure what his plan was on that. I know I'm signed to work with the DEI council, be the liaison to that council and the developmental projects. I'm not sure what other people are assigned to.
Well, I can say Brooke and myself are working with Melissa to actually help with the website, to have some eyes on it and update. So she had sent some of her initial observations, and I today sent my initial observations, and sure we'll continue on with some more observations, and we'll have a Zoom or whatever and go over things for outdated and updates and recommendations.
Oh, that's great. And I know another work plan item, and I had spoken to Bob about this. We will try to get some more business visitations calendared, as we are heading back into the fall. We had, a pretty heavy schedule, as you all know, back in sort of the May, June timeframe, as we were working to introduce our new planning director to a lot of the businesses in our community. So we had a pretty heavy schedule. That was really just wonderful to get out and to visit with so many of our small and large employers. And then again, we're hoping to kind of pick back up with that again this fall.
Yeah, I found those meetings very, very useful, Maria. I think the people we met with, the businesses, appreciated the interest from the town. They all expressed that, and they lasted maybe an hour, and it was really informative to learn about various businesses in town that we never knew about. So they're very good.
Agreed.
Is there anything else?
I don't think we have anything else on the work plan that we needed to speak about this evening, Melissa, unless there's something I'm forgetting.
Melissa?
Sorry, I was on mute. Just taking a look. I don't think so. The only other thing was the marketing, which we touched on earlier. I know we're looking for an update on sort of the rollout plan, but that's something we can circle back with Sarah on for next time. But other than that, I think that covers it.
I guess I'm listed under support entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
I'm not really quite sure where that's going at this point. I think I know one of the things that we were kind of waiting on a little bit was the website and getting that going. But I don't, even once that's up, I don't really know what we're going to be doing beyond that.
Wasn't there some sort of funding issue with that? We're trying to get some support for that from the town, the Board of Selectmen.
I got something, didn't we?
Yeah, so you may recall, Ron, and I think at the time it was Ron, Peter, our business resource librarian, had worked to put together a proposal with the chamber. There were a small number of other proposals as well that they thought about, in terms of how could they really kind of, work in partnership with us, including a tourism sort of map, which was something that the former tourism committee was really passionate about and wanted to see get going again. And so they put together a proposal of, I want to say I'd have to sort of dust off the cobwebs here, but maybe 3 or 4 different potential projects that we could work on. All of them did have a cost to it. They did submit that to us for, at the time, what was the ARPA work group to potentially review as business recovery efforts related to the pandemic. That was tabled and not presented to the group. So that is something, you know, in advance of budget season, you know, we really probably would love an opportunity. That group was dissolved, and the finance subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen is now reviewing various ARPA related requests. So I do think that's something, Ron, thank you, we should probably, you know, dust off and try to bring back to that group and present various proposals that were put together.
Okay.
If you ever want to meet Aunt Maria, I'm pretty much open anytime. So
great, thank you. We'll connect. We'll definitely connect. Thank you.
Okay.
So is there anything else we have to discuss tonight? It's 6:15. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Okay, well, thank you all for being at the meeting, and I guess the next meeting is October.
Thanks for making it short, Tom.
Okay. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, sorry.
Come in.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
We're adjourned. Thanks very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.